to talk about growing and scaling your fix and flip business, which is very different than a wholesale business. Wholesale businesses are very transactional and high volume, whereas flipping, fixing and flipping is more long-term, falls more into the category of real estate investing versus real estate transactions. And depending on the type of rehab work you're doing, whether they are large-scale rehabs or just cosmetic flips, more of the retail, type flips, they can be very different. So let's talk about how you take that flipping business to the next level, and how you get from that 10 to 15 to 20 a year to 100 a year or more, if that's what you want to do. Typically, one of the first things you want to do is start looking at the things that you like to do and the things you don't like to do, and hire out, fill in the gaps with things that you don't want to do, things that you're not enjoying, and where your weaknesses are. And typically, the sole proprietor, entrepreneur, owner operator, you're doing everything, right? You're finding the deals, you're negotiating the deals, you're lining up all the subcontractors, managing the jobs. Maybe you're going to Home Depot and Lowe's and buying all the products and the fixtures, doing all the design work. You're just doing everything yourself. That's a very difficult thing to keep up with in the fix and flip business. And you really have two ways to decide how you want to scale that business and how you want to grow it. You can either outsource a lot of the tasks of the project, which is really the first way to grow and scale that business, is to think about the construction and what you can outsource there, or you can outsource the administrative side of it, or you can do both. So I think probably the most effective, most efficient way to do it is to turnkey outsource everything on the construction side. You want to find a good qualified contractor, general contractor preferably, that supplies everything turnkey. Then what you do is you create a detailed scope of work list of selections. And you can have a couple different packages if you like to do different things. But if you're just doing volume flipping and you're in areas where pretty much all the houses are the same, you could kind of create, one or two or three packages where all of your color schemes, your light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, tile, cabinets, countertops, all those types of things are all pretty much the same. Carpet, interior, exterior paint, things like that. You can systemize that very easily and create a detailed schedule of finishes, scope of work, and things like that. And when you get a good contractor, they can help you create all that for all your different projects so that you can focus on finding more deals and selling more deals. But really the biggest, most efficient way to scale a flipping business is to turnkey outsource the construction part of that. So then the next question becomes, how do you manage that? Let's say you've got 30 or 40 of these things going on. Well, then you got to have somebody kind of keeping track of all those projects and managing that. And, that's going to require a project manager. And that is usually going to be a full-time position in-house to help you with keeping track of the contractors, making sure that the work is done so that they can approve the payments, things like that. A good general contractor can grow and scale with you, but some can't. So you got to make sure that you don't overextend your general contractors, and that you only give them the amount of work and the amount of jobs that they can handle. So you may have several general contractors that you work with to keep up with all the projects you're doing. So that's going to require somebody in-house to manage the general contractors. And that's a very difficult thing to outsource and subcontract. You might be able to find an independent contractor like an owner's rep or construction management consultant that can help you keep up with that. But when you're doing significant volume like that, if you want to get to that level, then you've just got to make a decision that, hey, I'm going to hire some people and I'm going to build a team and manage that. So one of the first hires that I always recommend for everybody in any business, whether you're wholesaling, flipping, doing commercial, or you're, any type of a business, is that office manager that can wear a number of hats, right? So that office manager is a very key role. They can be the office manager / bookkeeper / administrative assistant / construction administrator, / right? So there's a number of roles that individual can fill in and cover for you. So you need the right individual that's on board with the vision and the mission of the company, that's able to multitask and handle a number of different things and grow with the organization. And as you grow, you can take a lot of those roles off of that individual, and you can fill in the gaps in other areas depending on what you're doing and what your business really looks like. If you're kind of a hybrid of wholesale and a flipping operation, then some of those roles can cross over and fill in and help each other out. If you're just straight up a flipping operation, then you don't necessarily need to do a whole bunch of marketing. You can buy from wholesalers, you can buy off the MLS, you can get people bird dogging for you. So there's a number of ways that you can find enough projects to do good projects and grow that business without having to do a bunch of marketing and manage that and do all that. But if you are, then you can take some of those lead managers and acquisitions people and dispositions people, and they can kind of help out on the flipping side as well. Those things all kind of fold in. Also on the flipping side, somebody has to list those properties. So if you're not licensed, then you're going to need a realtor. And the realtor can help you in a lot of ways and fill in a lot of the gaps with things in your company in terms of helping you get rid of properties and keeping an eye on things and stuff like that. I wouldn't rely on them as a project manager or anything like that, but they can definitely take pictures while they're out there and keep the project folder updated with photos and information and things like that to make sure stuff's happening, and just be an extra set of eyes out there in the field for you. And then of course they can handle all the administrative side of selling the property and transaction coordination and things like that. So you can leverage those relationships and those partners to really help you outsource those deals. But in terms of growing the organization, the first thing you really want to put in place is that office manager, bookkeeper that can help you with all of the administrative side of the business. The next thing you're going to need is a project manager to manage the contractors. And if you have in-house and you're in-housing these things and you have your own crews, then that project manager is going to manage the crews, and each crew is going to need a lead carpenter, crew leader out in the field, and go that route. But I would not recommend going that route. I would tell you that the best way to grow and scale, the easiest way to grow and scale, is going to be to outsource as much as possible, turnkey. Let all your subcontractors supply all of the materials that you need. Let them supply the light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, flooring, paint, all that stuff, because then they have to warranty that stuff. They spend their time picking it out and picking it up. You just tell them what you want, they go get it. It may cost you a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you don't have to warranty it. If the water faucet is leaking or is broken, you don't have to pay somebody to go out and fix it. The plumber has to take care of that. The electrician has to fix the lights, right? The painter has to fix cracks and things like that in the paint, the drywall contractor, all that kind of stuff. So let your contractors supply everything turnkey. That way they're responsible for it. It's up to them to take care of the warranty information or the warranty issues and things like that. All you have to do is keep track of the information and make sure it gets done. So that's my advice. That's coming from somebody who's built a $30 million business building houses and rehabbing houses and flipping houses. We would have anywhere between 30 to 50 projects at a time going on. And that's how I was structured. I had project managers managing the contractors in the field because we did hire all the subs ourselves. We were a general contractor. That's how I started in the business. So I did manage subcontractors, but even then they were all turnkey. So we were not at Lowe's and Home Depot picking out light fixtures and doing that kind of thing. We let the subcontractors do all that. And then today, now my business, I'm a developer. So I manage general contractors and I let them handle all the subs and do all that. So I don't even do the subcontractor thing anymore. Unless it's a small cosmetic flip, then, I'll call the painter or somebody like that and just have them clean and paint the house and knock it out. But if there's any kind of construction going on, I turnkey subcontract that out to a general contractor. And to me, it's worth that extra 10 to 15% it's going to cost you because you can go and use that time to, find other deals and manage your operation, more efficiently and do other things that are a better use of your time. So those are my recommendations in terms of how to grow and scale a flipping business. I'm always happy to take questions. And if you ever have any questions, or if you'd like me to make a video answering any questions about growing your business or transitioning from wholesaling to flipping, or going from flipping to new construction, things like that. I'm going to make another video all about new construction spec houses. I'm going to make some videos about commercial real estate, things like that. So I love answering questions. I love having a dialogue. So feel free to email me your questions if you'd like me to address something and make a video for you. And that's pretty much it for today in terms of scaling a flipping business. It's not complicated. You find professionals, you hire professionals, and you coach them to the finish line, right? You find champions and you coach them to success. You let the pros do their job. You let them do what you hired and paid them to do. You hold them accountable. You make sure that they get the work done on time. One thing that I will go into about contractors is, when you're hiring contractors, you want to make sure that you have the proper documents and paperwork. You don't want to pay upfront for any work. What you want to do is even deposits. A lot of times you don't want to give deposits when you're first starting out these relationships. A lot of general contractors and a lot of contractors won't do any work without a deposit, but there's a way to bridge that gap. is you just tell them, say, look, I'll write you a check as soon as you're done. I just need to make sure the work gets done and it's done right. I'll write you a check the day you finish, and once it's complete, and you can start building a solid relationship that way. You can once you get to know the contractors, they get to know you. It won't be a problem anymore. And what you want to ultimately get to is where you pay every week. They have to be done this week with the work by Friday so that it can be approved and inspected. And then your choice, you can write them a check that afternoon, or you can have it ready the following week by Wednesday or Friday. I've always done Friday to Friday. If you wanted to get paid by Friday next week, you had to have your bill in by Friday this week so we could approve the work, get it all done, make sure it's all done right, and there were no issues. So never pay up front, never pay in advance. And in lieu of a deposit, when you're first starting out or you're first getting to know a contractor, tell them, look, I'll pay you the minute you're done, but you have to be done 100%. Don't pay draws, don't pay percentage of completion. Most of the stuff in rehab is small enough when you're flipping houses to where it's only a few days or a week's worth of work. They can get in and get out quickly. So there's no reason to have to pay a draw on a rehab project or deposits or anything like that. Make sure you get lien waivers from your contractors and subcontractors when you pay them. That's they're signing and guaranteeing that they've paid all their bills and all their vendors and employees, so that you have no liability, so that nobody can come back and claim that they didn't get paid and file a lien on the property. So make sure you get lien waivers, and make sure you have a very detailed contract with all the expectations spelled out in terms of timeframes, how the payments are going to work, what the price is. You can get a turnkey price from everybody on projects. There's no reason why somebody can't tell you how much it's going to cost, to move a wall, to paint the house, to do the kitchen. I mean, it's very simple. If you're doing a lot of rehabs and a lot of flips, you should be able to drill down on your costs pretty good, so that you've got all that agreed upon in advance, so there's no surprises. Never pay by the hour. Never agree to pay somebody hourly to do anything. Always have a turnkey fixed price. If you don't know how to do that, then just go out there and walk it through with them and say, okay, let's take 2 guys, $25 an hour each man, and they'll tear this wall down, rebuild over here, and just kind of calculate out the hours and come to a price and say, well, that sounds like a $500 job. And just agree on it, put it in writing, be done, have it all signed. The best practice in any business is to put everything in writing so that you have a clear agreement of what's expected and when, and then you hold them accountable to it. And that's the other thing. When you are dealing with contractors, just like your employees or anybody else in the organization, make sure you give them clear direction. I need exactly what you want done and when, and then measure that performance and hold them accountable. Say, hey, I need you in by Monday. I need you out by Wednesday because I've got the plumber and the electrician and the painter coming right behind you. So in order to keep the job on track, that's what you need. And then you just kind of guide them and direct them and keep them on track with that schedule. And, you'd be surprised if you tell somebody, hey, I need this done. When can you be there? They're going to say, oh, I'll get it done sometime this week. Well, that's going to be Friday at 4:00, right? But if you say, hey, I need you in by Monday and out by Wednesday, 90% of the time, they're going to meet that deadline once you give them, what it is that you need done and when. So if you give them rope, they will take all that you will allow them to take. If you give them a goal, they will do everything they can to achieve that goal. Remember that saying, if you give them rope, if you give them slack, they will take all that they can. If you give them a goal, they will do everything they can to achieve that goal. As long as you treat people with respect, you do what you say you're going to do, you make sure that they have everything they need and that the job site is ready for them when they show up so that they can do what they're supposed to do, then you won't have any problems. But if you're unorganized, if your site's not ready for whatever it is you're trying to get done, well, then you can't expect them to be able to get their job done. As the leader, it's your job to make sure that you give everybody in the organization, again, it's that upside down pyramid. You want to make sure you give everybody in your organization everything they need to be successful. The tools, training, systems, and support, and clear direction. In a rehab situation with a contractor, you need a clear job site that's ready and accessible with everything that they need. If they're supplying the materials, that's on them. If you're supplying materials, then you need to make sure it's there and that you have enough of it. The last thing that you want is, for the trim carpenter to run out of trim and they got one room left to do. You'll never get them back, right? So, you want to make sure that you've got all the stuff on site and everything ready for that individual to do their job. And then that way everybody can work towards that goal line and that finish line. And the systems and the processes are in place to keep everybody accountable so that you don't have any miscommunications, misunderstandings, with partial payments, somebody thinking the work's done when it's not. And everybody has a clear path moving forward. They know exactly where they're trying to get to. Again, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And, just imagine trying to play football on a football field and there's no yard markers or end zones, right? So then everybody's just running around in circles. You got to have clear yardage markers. You got to have an end zone. You got to know where you're going and you got to know how you're going to get there. And it really is that simple. In any business, there's always a clearly defined path. Again, you reverse engineer everything. There's an end goal to that house. Put a date that you need everything done, and reverse engineer all the steps that it takes to get there. So if I need this house done and on the market, by the end of the month, then take everything that needs to happen in that house and break it down by how many days it takes and reverse engineer it. And you might find out that you've got plenty of time and plenty of room, or you might find out, you really don't. And, you want to keep that schedule tight. You want to keep the timeline tight. That's how you make money in the flipping business. You get in and get out. The longer a project sits, the more time you spend on it, the less money you're going to make, right? Especially if you're borrowing money that has an interest carry, it's just going to eat into your profit. So the way you make money in the business, the way your subs and your contractors make money in the business is by getting in and getting out and completing the job 100% when they're done. Don't ever let somebody say, oh, I'll get that when I come back, whatever it is. If you take care of the details and take care of all the little things right now as you go along, they will not become big things later. And you won't be scrambling at the end with this huge punch list. So take care of the little things, take care of all the little punch list items as you go along. If your contractor hasn't delivered, hold money back so that you can send somebody in there to clean up the loose ends, and you'll be covered and everybody will be happy. And sometimes the contractor will tell you, look, keep a couple $100 and let somebody else go do that. I don't have time. So those are just little things that you can implement in your business today that will help you take your flipping business to the next level. And once again, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss the videos that I'll be putting out on other topics in terms of just general business growth and leadership, hiring, training, recruiting, how to invest in commercial real estate, how to invest in apartment buildings, how to raise money, syndicate real estate deals. I'm going to be making a lot of videos with a lot of content that you can put to work in your business right now today, and also turning these videos into podcasts as well. So there'll be lots of options for you to review the material and listen to material on the go and things like that. So until the next time, it's Greg Dickerson, and we will talk to you soon.